Well, I know you all are the poster children for being able to transition from being able to transition from playing basketball for as long as we all played to then now living life after basketball. A lot of us have been led the path of broadcasting, investment, all of those opportunities. I think a lot of players struggle with that because they wait until the end to prepare. How intentional were you about building the next while you were playing? Or how intentional are you about informing past players about transitioning and what that looks like? Because honestly, like, you're taught to keep the main thing. And that's what makes players great. But at some point in time, the ball is going to stop bouncing and you got to kind of look to the future.
Yeah, I think for me, when I was making that transition, injuries took me there, right? So think about my 10th, 11th year, I had microfracture surgery. So I'm on top of the world, and I have microfracture surgery, and it brought me down. So I was playing at T-Mac, and then it became Tracy. That's what it was.
But that's still a hell of a lot better
than... T-Mac was, perfecting his craft and was trying to be the best version of himself as a basketball player and really wasn't thinking outside of basketball. But when Tracy hit, that's when I started thinking, okay, this is about to come to an end. Yeah. And I started transitioning. It's really about finding, your passions. And like, what do you do naturally? What are you naturally good at? What do you naturally love to do? And is that something that, you could sell to people? And I just felt like my life is basketball. I'm basketball driven, and I started a one-on-one basketball league. This what I wanted to get into, to give guys an opportunity, because I know somebody created a platform for me, and it's the reason why I became who I became in high school, and that was the ABCD camp. As a junior, I was unknown. I go to this basketball camp as an unranked player in high school, and I'm playing against the top players in high school, and I go through this camp. My senior year, I'm the #1 player in the country, and my life changed like that. So it was the platform. It was nothing about me that changed. Just I got on platform. So I wanted to create a platform for those guys that were overlooked, had to pivot because maybe on their journey, mom passed away, mom got sick, dad wasn't around. Now you got to be a big boy, a big girl, and you got to raise your siblings. So that was driven for me, and then all the other business stuff that just came behind that. We got NBC, I got ABCD camp that I'm bringing back for this year, and I definitely want you to be a part of that because we're going to have the girls as well. And it's just really about exploring and finding your passion and putting your all into it. And I put that energy and effort into it, just like I was, getting ready for NBA season.
For me, it was watching the guys before me, my vets, struggle with the fear of the unknown. And kind of like what he said, you've done something for whether it's 5, 6, 8, 10, 22 years. And
just casually played for 22 years.
I'm just saying, some of the guys made it to 20. Some guys playing 23 right now. But once you do that and we put our lives into it to be the best that we can be, the best versions of of ourselves, not to be critiqued, but to be satisfied with ourselves and what we accomplish. Then when you play that last game, you take off your shoes for the last time, you sit them things wherever you throw them, and you walk out that door, you're not going back to training camp, locker room, you go into whatever's next, and watching some guys struggle with that because they weren't prepared. And for me, growing up, I was one to ask questions if I didn't know, number one. Number two, I vowed that I would not be in that situation. I did not want to put myself in that position, so I started to kind of figure out what I wanted to do. So 9 years prior to me finally walking away from the game, I started Sportscaster U. I went in there to learn, the business of broadcasting and loved it. I enjoyed talking about the game of basketball. I wasn't sure if I wanted to coach or not because, there's a lot that comes behind coaching, as you know. No loyalty to coaches, I think, now, particularly in today's game. That's my opinion. But at the same time, we have an influence of the game, and we can teach the game through our voice on TV. So, and just to tell you from how we've played the game and what we see, kind of elaborate for you. We all can look at the same play on the screen right now, but we see it totally different than you guys and tell a different story. So just to kind of bring you in our world. So broadcasting was one of the things I felt like, man, this is it. I enjoyed it. So I was doing it prior to my last day. So I was able to walk into that world. And then, like you said, just being a good person, doing the right things, other opportunities, relationships, did not burn bridges, and all these things on my path to walking out the door for the last time and created, a brand for myself. But, I enjoyed the opportunity.
That's the thing right there. You've been talking for like 5 minutes.
Look who's talking.
Dang.
Man, you could tell they cousins.
5 minutes, bro.
They just like.
And so on and so forth. We'll talk later.
Put the light on him, bro. Hit the light.
Okay, I'll just say this. I think that it's scary when you play a sport for your whole life and that's become your identity, to then be open to opening up new things. And I think by the time some players think about doing it, their name doesn't light the room up the way it used to. I mean, to me, I just feel like while you're doing it, you want to be in the rooms that you can be in and ask the questions. And a lot of athletes don't think that they're prepared to walk into boardrooms when really, you know what pressure is? Knocking down a free throw in front of 24,000 people.
Say it again.
That's pressure. So speaking in a boardroom is nothing. Pressure is trying to win after being on the trading block or having to come back after an injury or things like that. So I think athletes have to believe in themselves even more. And also, I think sharing is caring. I know for me, my motivation was Magic Johnson. Like, I looked at Magic and I was like, he unlocked business for athletes in the way that he went about things. However, I was like, I don't see me in that. So like, let's create that and let's open up more doors. And so I just love the fact that I'm able to have conversations with my big brothers about business, about next moves, about investments, because I think athletes, we're a team sport, so we're used to sharing and caring. And so I hope we do more of that.
And that
I think one of the biggest challenges though athletes have, and I'm sure you guys can attest to this, if you don't have the right team, that's the hardest thing to find. You got to have the right team that supports you, right? And if you can't find that, then you're really going to be someone that doesn't get those opportunities, doesn't elevate your brand. And for a while, that was me. I was with an agency and I was doing all this stuff, working. I was going back and forth to China. I was getting opportunities, but it really
Do you know how many
wasn't.
Tracys are in China? Just so you know. In China, they pick an American name. It's Kobe and Tracy are the two names that they have. So there's like a bunch of people walking around with Tracy.
So it's about finding that right team that sees the value in you and that has the relationships and the resources to be able to elevate you and open up certain doors that, you probably couldn't open up, but they can open up for you. So I got with a new agency, man, and my agency has been working their ass off and opening these doors and different opportunities. And, here we are speaking at the Super Bowl and doing all this stuff. Like
I'll say this real quick. For the biggest thing for the young generation coming in, like they have all the money in the world, but like once you walk away from it, like how do you help that grow for generations to come in your family? And your willingness to sit down and have the conversations, your willingness to sit in when the NBPA would come in, when they would come, the NBA would come or WNBA would come into our locker rooms and talk about life after basketball. Your willingness to listen. Like I said, I played for 20 years. So I had to say at one point, I was like at year 10, 12, 13, I was like, I've heard this before. But at the same time, 15, 16, 17, I started asking more questions. And I was the oldest in the league. But I was like, this is how you set the groundwork for you guys. Like you guys now have the money, now understanding what to do with that, how to navigate to life after basketball, because you guys can make the money that they're making now, 50, 60 a year. That's great. But like you're going to live that lifestyle. Once they finish playing, they should not have to spend that money. And they have to learn how to do it. So that's my encouragement to young guys now, your willingness to not feel like because you're up here, this is more reason for you to go sit in these rooms, have those conversations to build life after basketball now. So, that was a home run for me doing that, just being willing to listen.
Yeah.
I just think it's like,
component.
But you know how like people say like, if I die, and it's like, no, everybody's going to die. Yeah. Right? Like a lot of people say, if I retire, no, it's when, and it's going to happen.
Be prepared.
And it's being prepared, but it's also being confident in the skill set you have, and also remembering how you built that skill set. Like the law of 10,000 hours, Malcolm Gladwell, you're not going to just enter into another field without putting in the time. Right. And so I think that that's an important step.